Hello guys, and welcome to my Bow Stamina Templar medium armor build for the Murkmire patch. And yeah, this is a really sweet bow build. It hits really hard, has awesome sustain, deals a lot of burst damage, and has a ton of damage over time on it. It is a super great damage bow build that's incredibly kitey and really suited to, I guess, open world PvP and that kind of kite style open world PvP. I had a lot of fun playing this build. I hope that you guys enjoy it. We've got one really big fat piece of PvP footage for it, a super long fight. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, if you guys enjoy this build, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. If you guys are new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you guys want to see more live gameplay from me, you can check me out on Twitch. A link, of course, is in the description. And if you guys would like to submit any builds or PvP footage to feature for the YouTube channel, feel free to send it to KristoferESO@hotmail.com, and perhaps we can feature one of your builds here. Anyway, guys, without further ado, let's jump into the build. Hope you guys enjoy. Alright, guys, so let's take a look at that build. So, to begin, we are a Nord on this build. Nord is not really BIS, it's just the race that my Templar is. You can go with whatever race you want. I think Orc is particularly good for that movement speed. Bosmer and Khajiit can be nice too, Khajiit for the crit. You do actually have some gank potential because we are so fast-paced and we're using a lot of distance-based attacks. Could do some ganks with this, so Bosmer and Khajiit can be good for that. Red Guard works too. A lot of the races kind of favor from stealth or melee kind of stamina combat, so we don't get any real specific bonuses for bow here. But there you go. Nord's not bad either. So to move on, we have got just under 13k magicka. We've got 21k HP and 30k maximum stamina. Great kind of stat pool here. 21k HP is not bad for medium armor. 20k plus is great in medium, I think. 13k magicka is going to be important so we can purge and use mist a lot. And then, of course, the stamina is going to be great because that's our primary resource. Our recoveries are looking pretty fine. We've got just under 1800 stamina recovery. When we buff up 2k stamina recovery, our mag recovery is 647, and we are using channeled focus for that almost 500 bonus that we get. So we're sitting at just over 1100 magicka recovery on this build as well, and half of it works through mist form, which is really important because we do use mist on this build. So that's going to help with our mag sustain too. Taking a look at our weapon damage, fully buffed, we are sitting at 3,899. Sorry, that's not fully buffed. We have an infused master's bow on the back bar, so 600 plus another 400, so add probably around 1k weapon damage to that value. We've got just under 5k weapon damage fully buffed on this build. Massive amounts of weapon damage. And yeah, you're going to hit super hard with your bow on this spec. Our weapon crit's coming in at 50% weapon crit. Very, very nice. And now one thing I do want to mention is that our sets are actually pushing our damage even further than the 30k stam and almost 5k weapon damage would suggest we're going to hit. We have sets that are going to allow us to hit even harder. So our physical and spell resist are pretty sweet when we're standing in our rune. We have 22k and 23k, and then outside of the rune, we have 21k and just under 20k. So not bad at all, coming in with 1900 crit resist as well. It's not super bulky, but it does work, and we are playing a very kitey medium armor build, so we don't have to have a huge amount of armor value for this build to be effective. For the Mundus that we're using, we are using the Warrior Mundus. If you need more sustain, you can always drop this for more sustain. However, the Warrior is the way to go, I think, for the CP campaigns. And then the food is the lava foot soup and salt rice. Now, this food here is going to be really good food, I think, for this coming patch. Maximum stamina and stamina recovery. Very, very nice food. So we don't really need anything else other than the stam recovery, and maybe mag recovery. So this is the food that we chose for the build because it fits it the best, making up for that loss of bulk that we have, as well as giving us that sustain. So there you go, guys. The potions that we use on this spec, of course, are going to be weapon damage and weapon crit pots. Now, the reason that we use these guys is because we are missing both of these buffs. The Major Brutality we need to get, and the Major Savagery we actually can get from jabs. However, you don't want to be poking jabs out all the time just for 10 seconds of Major Savagery. So there you go. Jabs, of course, is an option for that Major Savagery buff if you wanted to open up that slot there and run something else instead. Now, taking a look at the gear that we're running on this build, The first set that we have, of course, is Slime Craw. Minor Berserk buff is going to increase our damage even further, and then, of course, we get that weapon crit as well. Good for our outgoing damage. The next set that we have is Marksman. This is going to give us another 8% increased damage on our bow bar. So this is an invisible 8% that we don't see in our tooltips because it only affects players, but this is a nice bonus again on top that's going to push our bow damage even further against players. And Marksman's nice because we get the stam recovery, weapon damage, awesome 2, 3, 4 piece. Really, really nice. And then on top of it, the 5 piece will reduce the cost of all our stamina abilities by 5%. Super awesome. It allows us to run a little bit lower sustain than I have on my Stamina Templar in the past because we have that increased reduced cost. So just saving us more. And yeah, Marksman is a really good set for PvP. It's a sustain / damage set, and it gives you massive amounts of both. Really, really nice. So that's why we picked it. The next set that we have is a 3-piece agility. This is here just to bulk up our build, that maximum stam and that weapon damage. And then for our primary front bar bow, we have gone with the new Black Rose Perfected bow. Gives us some weapon crit, and whenever we use our scatter shot, a bleed applies to the opponent, which will deal 40% of the initial attack damage every 2 seconds for 4 seconds, increasing in duration to a maximum of 12 the further away you are from the target. Wow. A bleed, first of all, is going to ignore all armor, so that's very strong. Second of all, that's a massive amount of damage it can do. Our Magnum Shot tooltip buffed is coming in at 8k before Marksman, so 9k after Marksman on our Magnum Shot. Yeah, we're going to have a massive amount of bleed from this. Pair this with our poison injection, and they are in big trouble. Power of the Light, even more trouble. And then, of course, we run the damage health poisons to really push this as far as possible. And then our back bar, of course, is the Master Bow, and this is going to push our damage even further on the front bar, as well as giving us a nice buff off the infused enchant with the Berserker enchant as well. So you want to make sure you land the poison injection with your back bar, switch to the front bar, go for that big fat Magnum Shot, make sure they're Power of the Lighted and everything. Big damage. So, as I mentioned, we have infused back bar with the weapon spell damage and enchant. The front bar is Nirnhoned, best all around for damage and healing. And then, of course, we get these damage health poisons, which is going to help give us more damage over time. We can apply 4 dots plus Power of the Light on this build, so a lot of damage over time, to the point where we could even think about running maybe Valken Scoria. Slime Craw is really nice, though, because it does up the bleed damage from this dot. So there you go. The traits on our jewelry is Full Swift, guys. Full Swift is really nice, I think, for a dual bow build, simply because you're going to have to be very mobile, and melee distance fighting's not really going to be the best thing for you to do. So having Full Swift allows you to keep distance between you and your targets, and really play that Swift game in PvP, really play that movement game, and use your terrain. The weapon damage enchants are on all 3 pieces here, so full weapon damage enchant. For the gear, we have gone with full tri-stat Hacky Joe enchants. I think this is fairly important. The HP bulk and the Magicka bulk is really nice. Gives you more max stats, so you have more mist and more purge kind of opportunity to work with, and the more HP is going to prevent you from getting bursted. For the traits on our gear, we have gone with 5 pieces of well-fitted and 2 pieces of impenetrable. Because this is a bow build, we don't need a ton of defense. The well-fitted, I think, is the way to go. We'll be avoiding a lot of damage at a distance and purging anything with our purge that we can't avoid as well. So there you go, guys. That is the gear that we're running on the build. Let's take a look at the abilities that we're using. So we're going to start on the front bar here, which is our damage bar. Going to buff up with the potion so we can see that tooltip again. Magnum Shot is the first ability that we have. This is going to be a couple of things. It's going to be your primary spammable. It's going to be a very powerful stun. And on top of it, it is going to be a very powerful damage over time effect as well. Huge whammy for this build. We got a lot of sets working to make this ability very, very strong and make it be kind of the mainstay of this build. So Magnum Shot, the way to go. You can always go for the other morph of this ability if you want. The one that heals you. However, it has a lower tooltip damage. Magnum Shot is going to give you a stronger initial attack as well as a stronger bleed. The next ability that we have is Lethal Arrow. And Lethal Arrow is here, of course, for that heal debuff and to make that big combination damage happen. You'll be able to hit super hard lethal arrows on players with this build. We're coming in at well over 17k on this tooltip with the marksman on top. And then with all our buffs over it, we probably have a 20k lethal arrow tooltip. So yeah, hits really hard, really great combination damage with our Magnum Shot. Lethal Arrow, Light Attack, Magnum Shot, massive amounts of damage, especially if they're dotted up already. The next skill that we have is Race Against Time. This is here, of course, for that minor force buff that it gives. It also gives us some Major Expedition, but we have a lot of Major Expedition already. And of course, it reduced the cost of our sprint. It is nice if we need to sprint cheaply for a long distance. We will be able to do that very easily, thanks to that ability. The next skill that we have is Resolving Vigor. This is your primary heal for the build. Now, it actually sports a pretty decent tooltip on a bow build, almost 17k Vigor. Pretty nice healing power, I think, for a bow spec. It will go up a little bit more as we're in combat, so there you go. The next ability that we have is Biting Jabs, and this one here is kind of a weird slot. Now, this is here because if we take melee pressure, we have jabs as an option. This is also here because slotting it gives us a 10% crit damage bonus on this bar, which is very important, so we had to slot an Aegis Spear skill here. Now, the reason that I picked jabs over the Javelin is simply because we're running a lot of sets that make our Magnum Shot very, very powerful. The Magnum Shot is also much cheaper than the Javelin, so between the two abilities, Magnum Shot is definitely the way to go for this build. So I didn't want to use the Javelin because it's just a worse, more expensive version of our Magnum Shot. So I went for the jabs here simply because we get a little bit of that AoE pressure. If someone gets on top of us, we have that melee attack, and it also gives us access to the Major Savagery buff for 8 seconds. So if you don't want to run the Major Savagery buff in your potions and open up that for maybe something else, the jabs is an option for that too. But there you go. It's mostly just a passive slot here, but you can use it in combat if you find yourself needing it. The next ability that we have is Flawless Dawnbreaker. Yet again, another fairly passive slot for that increased weapon damage that it's giving. It is a really good ultimate to use, but because we're playing a bow build, it's not a really applicable ultimate outside of the passive damage increase that it's giving us. I really like Flawless here simply because our bow kit already hits so hard. We definitely don't need an ultimate to bring someone down, even tankier players. However, the Flawless is a good option too if you have that melee distance between the jabs and Flawless. You can actually do a bit of melee unreflectable damage with your bow build, which is kind of nice. Other options for your front bar ultimate, of course, are going to include maybe Soul Assault. And I wanted to mention Soul Assault simply because it's a really good single target ultimate that you can use at a distance and it will hit super hard. And you want to morph this, of course, to the morph that does more damage. I don't have a skill point, so I can't actually morph it. But there's a morph that does more damage. So there you go. Always an option if you want to drop a little bit of weapon damage on the front bar too. But like I said, this build hits so hard already, you don't really need to have that ultimate. But anyway, let's take a look at our back bar. So the first ability we have is our Poison Injection. Now this is here because, of course, we're running the Master Bow on the back bar, so this will proc our Master Bow, and it's going to put a beefy damage over time on the opponent that increases in damage as their health begins to drop below 50%. Pair this with the Magnum Shot bleed and the double bleed from the double dot from the poison and Pottle. Things get really messy, really fast. Really good kind of just attrition fighting bow ability here. The next skill that we have is Power of the Light. Now, this is here for a couple reasons. Number one, it does a fairly decent amount of damage. It is your only undodgeable ranged attack, which I think is very important to mention, that this is actually undodgeable, so you can deal damage through roll with it, with the initial attack and the explosion. And then finally, we get that big burst explosion at the end after the 6 seconds. So we open with Power of the Light, drop our entire combo on them, and then we get that big explosion at the end, depending on how much damage the rest of our combo did. And Power of the Light is nice too, because it will apply Minor Fracture to your opponent, reducing their physical and resist, which is going to allow you to deal just a few % more damage with your abilities as well. The next skill that we have is Elusive Mist. This is one of your primary defensive abilities. You're going to use this to kind of soak up big amounts of damage and kite out large amounts of players when they jump on top of you. We are running 3 Swift, so this gives us 60% movement speed when we're in our mist. That's really nice. It helps us get away. This, of course, will disable our mag recovery. However, Channeled Focus will still work through our mist, so not a huge deal for that. The next skill that we have is Extended Ritual, our next Magicka ability, also very, very important for this build and Templar in general. This is going to remove 5 harmful negative effects from ourselves. It's really important that you get good at using Purge on the Templar. It's one of Templar's best utility skills for PvP. You can reduce the damage that you take by a massive amount just by purging those negative effects, things like damage over time, sorcerer curses, debuffs like healing debuffs, etc. You save yourself resource and you help yourself out in the long run by purging them right away. So Extended Ritual is going to be so great for that. Of course, allies can activate the Purify synergy, which gives them access to Purge as well, so your friends are going to love you for it. And then the last ability that we have is Channeled Focus, and this is there for the armor buffs that we give, as well as the Magicka recovery that it gives. We need all of that stuff for this build, balancing out the recovery of this spec as well. And while we're standing in the rune, we get a little bit of an armor bonus, not super applicable for such a kitey build like this, but we get that optional bulk if we want. And then finally, guys, the ultimate on the back bar is Balista. And you guys all saw this coming. Balista is such a powerful ultimate. Power of the Light into Balista, Poison Injection, Magnum Shot, Snipe. I mean, nothing's surviving that. It's so much damage. Look at the tooltip on this thing. We're going to buff up on our front bar, and we're going to show you guys the tooltip on our Balista. 71,000 plus 8%. So we're sitting at just under 80,000 damage Balista over 5.2 seconds. Yeah. The Balista is absolutely going to destroy people. Now, like I mentioned, you don't actually really need to run the Balista on this build because it already hits so hard. So if you want to run a different ultimate, you can, of course, go for the Psijic Order Precognition. This is fantastic for any kind of a movement speed-based build where you're running around kiting your opponents. It allows you to teleport back to a different location. Essentially, it's the biggest save that you will get if you find yourself low on resource or getting yourself hammered really fast, taking a lot of burst. Precognition will save you, and you can use it to kind of troll people and kite out Zergs, etc. So that's your options there. A lot of good ultimates for this build between Balista, Precog, Soul Assault, and then, of course, Flawless for that passive slot, too. Anyway, there you go, guys. Alright, guys, so let's take a look at those champion points on the build. So we're going to start off in our tower tree here. So we're going to start off in the Warlord. We got 31 Warlord, 18 Sprinter, and 9 Bashing Focus. You got to break free, you got to sprint, and you got to bash in that order, I think. So that's why we allocate those points as such. 64 Mooncalf and 56 Arcanist. Mooncalf, of course, very important for our stam recovery. Arcanist, we actually have a lot of points in here. We could actually take some of this out and put it maybe in Tenacity or something. We actually don't need as many points here because we don't need all that stam or all that mag recovery that it actually gives. So I think putting just a few points in Tenacity for a little bit more stam recovery would be better off. In the Shadow Tree, we've got Shadow Ward and Tumbling. Big focus on Tumbling, of course, because we got to roll dodge a lot. Shadow Ward also important because blocking is very important in PvP regardless of what spec you run. Wind Running being the important passive that we kind of get from our green trees here for that movement speed bonus. In the Apprentice, we got nothing. In the Atronach, we have 39 physical and 81 Master at Arm. Master at Arm, of course, increasing all of our direct damage that we do, which is almost all our attacks, and then this will increase all of our light and heavy attacks with our bows, which is super awesome. Tactician is going to be really great for that off-balance bonus against an opponent. We roll dodge to set them off balance. We are running double bow, so that's going to be really easy to set people off balance. We're going to be rolling a lot. In the Ritual Tree, we have 56 Mighty, 50 Piercing, and 44 in Precise Strikes. A really heavy spread here, but pretty even as well. Quite a bit of focus, again, on crit. Normally, I don't put so much into crit, but because we're playing bow and we have that 50% crit rate, we don't want to neglect it too much. But, of course, heavy on the Mighty, followed up by Piercing, and then crit last. The great passives that we get here is Exploiter, increase our damage against off-balance enemies by 10%, really nice for that off-balance. And then Last Stand is also a really nice passive because we are fairly squishy, so chances are you might fall below 20% health, and you'll get that major heroism. It can come in real handy, especially if you're running something like Precog to help you stay alive. In the Steed Tree, we have 51 Ironclad, 60 Resistant, 37 Medium Armor, and then 20 Spell Shield. Yeah, gotta have crit resist, gotta have resistance against direct damage attacks, a lot of stuff. And then a lot of bulk here just to bulk our physical and spell resist, just to kind of help make up for the fact that we're not gonna have the best values of it in medium armor, but nice little bit of bulk here. In the lady tree, we got 27 hardy, 27 elemental defender, and 11 in thick-skinned. Reduce our incoming physical damage, reduce our incoming magical damage we take, and then finally we reduce the dot damage we take. We do have purge, however, there's still a lot of dots in the game, and channeled beams count as dots, so this will still help. And then in the lord tree, we've got that 37 quick recovery to increase the healing that we receive by 9%, and that is the build, guys. Alright guys, so let's take a look at that PvP commentary. So, we actually have one fight for you guys today. It's a very long fight, but it has a lot of different fight in it. So, there you go. It'll be one long fight, but a one long PvP commentary. So let's jump into it. As you can see, we are outside of Nickel here, and we're kind of sandwiched between the blue and the yellow factions here, so we won't be running into a ton of friendly players. We do have a friendly player on the ground there. We have engaged with this Dragon Knight here, and he does have a Reflect, so being on a bow build, we have a tough time dealing with that Reflect. That is why, of course, the jabs may help in the future, but of course, because I'm playing this on the live server instead of on the PTS, there's a few modifications to the build, so it isn't as good as it would be on the PTS. So the first thing is that we don't have, obviously, the new bow, so we don't get the bleed on the Magnum Shot. So we're not actually running Magnum Shot, and Magnum Shot doesn't have the range that it does next patch either. So instead of running Magnum Shot, we're just using the Silver Leash ability, and then we have the Javelin for the stun as well. So it's going to be fairly similar to what Magnum Shot will do, but Magnum Shot will do both abilities pretty much in one. It'll be our spammable and our damage over time and our stun. So anyway, without further ado, let's keep commentating this fight. As you can see here, we're going to use the terrain, and we're just going to try to kite these yellow out and just keep moving around. This is a very movement-oriented build, and as you can see, we have a lot of distance damage, so all we want to do is just kind of keep these guys split and make sure we can catch them kind of by themselves. As you can see here, we catch one Nightblade in a nice little tight spot, get him with the Javelin stun into the Dawnbreaker, and bring another guy down here. Very, very nice. And we're just going to turn around and re-engage with these guys here. Take a stun from the top there. We're just going to break the stun and line of sight a little bit with the rock here. Go for this snipe combo on this guy. He doesn't do anything to deal with it. Just kind of eats it. But then he, yeah, fairly low-level player. He's not even healing himself. So we're not too terribly concerned. We'll just throw a poison injection in him, and he should be going down. But the other player keeps stunning us here, so we finally managed to finish him off, and now we're just going to keep kiting around these rocks, making sure to use that distance, use that movement. Don't hold still for these guys. Now, we are kind of like kiting around in the same area. At the same time, we're getting a few kills, and due to the fact that we're killing a few of them, we can actually do a bit of ground holding. But as you can see, as they begin to pile up, we have to continue to move around and kite these guys out, making sure to use the mist form so we can move safe, free from interruption, free from a lot of burst as well. A good way to move on this build, I think. But yeah, so as you see, we move around to the top here, get a little bit of height, and we're just going to keep cutting these guys out, move through these rocks, and we're going to engage, I think, from behind on this guy here. We go for a bit of a slide down the rock here. This guy is just horsing up. He gets off his horse, goes into stealth. Our Power of the Light will pull him out of stealth, so we repower the light him as he pops out of stealth, go for the poison injection, and I think we just change targets here because that guy's going to be running away. We get a nice poison injection into the stun, followed by the Dawnbreaker. Huge damage on this guy, and he ends up going down. Nice big burst there. We take a snipe from somewhere. I can't really see. I think it's up on this rock here. Take a snipe from a player. We quickly break the stun, roll dodge, and cast our Vigor. Purge afterwards as well. Make sure we remove that armor debuff and remove anything else on us too. And then we re-engage. Here we go. The Nightblade jumps on top of us, making sure to hold our block as we throw the Javelin there, just to not take any unfavorable burst, because we are fairly squishy, right? But we end up needing to pull back a little bit as well. Like I said, this is a very movement-oriented build. You use your speed, you use your range, and you get a lot of damage out of it, but you're not very tanky, so you just have to make sure to kite opponents out as hard as you can. There you see we do two really good rolls, rolling the attacks, getting the stun on him there with the Javelin. However, we're just forced a little bit out here by this other player, and we're just going to kite back a little bit back behind these rocks here, still kind of keeping them in bay at this rock and tree. This is a nice little spot to work with here because, oh my god, that big burst. We come out of there, hit him with a nice big Dawnbreaker. There you see Dawnbreaker actually doing some nice work as a burst ult, and I apologize if I'm playing this a little bit too melee oriented. I play Ghost like this, and well, it's hard for me to kind of readjust my style really well. But anyway, as you can see, we managed to kite out the rest of the AD, and we put some serious damage into these guys. Oh my god, we get a lot of kills at the beginning there, and we're just going to come back up the hill and re-engage with them. And as you can see, they're all waiting for us. Oh my god, look at all of that. We go for the precognition to teleport back behind the rocks here, and we're going to go in the other direction to try to lose as many of these players as we can. There's a nice big bunch of them waiting for me now, so we have to be fairly careful on how we're going to do this now. So a little bit of AFK time here because I do live stream, of course, so I was just checking the stream. We try to go to res the friendly player here, and we get interrupted right away by, I believe it is a Dragon Knight there. So we're just going to peel behind the rocks here, get a quick heal off, and then come back around and engage with this DK. He does not go for his wings. Oh my gosh, he really should have. We hit him with a massive combo after hitting him with the stun there and bring him down. This guy, we go Power of the Light, Poison Injection, dot him up, hit him with the stun. He double uses the door, ends up coming back outside and eating our next snipe, and he goes down as well. So we managed to get a couple nice little kills there, and then we pull back to the friendly player, pick him up, and here we go again. This guy's throwing his attacks at us. We're just going to dodge the first one there. We blocked the second one, and the third one, I was trying to land the offensive combo on him, and we end up just getting hit by it. No big deal. We're just going to pull back a little bit here, rebuff. Make sure to purge those curses from the Sork. It is unblockable, undodgeable damage. The best way to deal with it is with that purge, and it's going to help mitigate that big Sork burst as well. So we just make sure we take those purges there. We get some marks and purge them as well. Just do a little bit of kite game here. We want to make sure not to get caught open field because we, of course, are very squishy. And, yeah, just got to keep playing that kite game. Keep playing with the terrain here. The lower level Sork here is actually quite chunky. She's got quite a bit of health recovery and or healing power. And we're just going to have to keep working on these guys to bring them down. Just be patient here. As you can see, we do a little bit of a peel around here, just a little low on resource. And, oh, we got another Sork coming in here as well. Taking a lot of damage from these Sorks, man. Oh, my lord. We're just going to have to be careful how we engage here. We don't want to get hit by something bad. We also have that Dragon Knight there as well. And his reflect is going to be a nuisance if we end up dropping something on it when we shouldn't. We catch him with the... Oh, we catch this guy with no reflect. We hit him with a big burst and bring him down. Nice combo on that guy there. And then we have this last Sork here. We hit him with the Javelin stun. There we go for the bow heavy attack into the... Oh my god, the bow heavy attack into the Fighters Guild skill, Silver Leash, and we actually managed to kill him with the Power of the Light Poison Injection tick at the end of that combo. Massive amount of burst damage at a distance on that player. And then we have just this guy left now, it seems. There's always more in stealth. You got to be careful with AD, always more in stealth. And he's going to start throwing some overloads on us. So we're just going to make sure to do a little bit more kiting here. Just be careful. We know that we'll probably have to deal with more AD engaging with us soon. So we're just going to have to be prepared for that. We catch this guy with a really nice stun there again. Maybe he's not running the wings. I swear I saw him throw the wings up at the beginning of the fight, and then he just quit casting it afterwards. But anyway, we hit him with a big combo there, and he actually survives that one, doesn't go down. And we are getting marked by a Nightblade here too, so we know that we're going to have a gank incoming. Put some damage into that player there. There's the leap from the Dragon Knight. We get a good block on it there with our block. It's a good read from that leap. And here's the big snipe from the enemy player there. So we roll this snipe. Very nice. I believe I heard it coming because I did have my game volume on. And we're just going to take another peek around here and see if we can maybe pull this sniper out of his safety zone. So after a little bit of a peel around the side here, the sniper seems to be waiting. He's taking his time. We're just going to keep poking on this Sork here. He's standing in the middle. We want to just kind of wait for the sniper to throw some arrows, keeping our block up, making sure to roll occasionally when our block isn't up, making sure to kind of try to stay in mist. There you see we take a really bad stun, a little bit of lag trying to CC break it as well. We don't get the purge cast on the first cast there either. Ooh, just hit by a little bit of lag at the wrong time. And we do manage to make it out, though. We do manage to survive, and we're just going to turn and re-engage with these guys, come back up the hill, and peel around. Just trying to split them up, honestly. The trouble here, of course, is that we have the sniper on us, and it's hard to deal with. It's hard to play a build like this if you have people in a field just kind of throwing arrows at you all the time. So you have to be very kitey, and you have to be careful how you engage. Here you see we take a super nasty dragon leap from behind there, and we end up going down to that and the flame lash. And of course we had the sniper as well on us with the light attacks, but they don't guard the body, and we literally get rezzed right away by the guy that we had gone and rezzed before. There you go, friendship coming full circle. And then we're just going to re-engage with this level 18 here. He, of course, is pretty chunky. He's going to try to defend a bit on himself here, but we're just going to keep shooting at him, putting the pressure in. And there you see the NPC actually ends up eating our snipe there. We might have actually killed him if the NPC hadn't done that. But unfortunately, we are pretty low on stamina here. I see the extra AD players coming. I decided not to get overzealous and overcommit to the kill. I just want to be patient here. I don't want to commit to something and then not have the resource in order to deal with it. So I decide just to back up a little bit here, peeking at the yellows. They decide to, I guess, attack me. Yes, they are. Here we go. We're just going to do a little peel behind here. Just kite them out a little bit. And then hopefully we can turn and burn them here. We're going to come around the corner, see kind of what we got. Ooh, we took a pretty bad stun there. Never mind. We're taking too much damage. They got a lot of pressure here. A lot of players attacking us. A lot of curses from the Sork. Making sure to cast the Purge as we retreat away from these guys. The Purge is so important, again, in mitigating all of that damage. And then we just do a little bit of kite game here, as there was actually quite a bit of yellow pressure. And we just end up re-engaging with these guys. And the level 18 is still there. And now we have a Templar. So now that the level 18 has died a few times, I actually am not going to target him simply because he's not worth that much AP. So if it becomes an easy opportunity to kill him, we'll take it. Otherwise, I think I'm going to try to go for the Templar here, simply because we actually get some AP if we hit that Templar and kill it. So we're just going to keep working on the Templar, forcing her to continue to spam her Purge. Purge is quite an expensive skill. So if you continuously dot up a Templar and force them to keep purging it, it can be quite costly on their resource. So we're just going to keep putting the pressure on her. Of course, we're going to make sure that we purge the stuff she throws on us. The Eclipse Bubble is particularly nice. It's going to be a real easy way for us to get some CC immunity for a very cheap cost. But otherwise, we're just being very patient with the Templar here. As you can see, we're just going to keep her dotted up, try to catch her with everything. Oh, there you see, we managed to get a nice stun on her. No, it was on the Sork. We turned and attacked the Sork. There was the opportunity. Get a good stun on him, but he ends up taking a bit of heals from the Templar. We actually can't finish him off here, putting a bit of damage. Go for the snipe there. Go for the silver shards as well. He goes for the dodge roll. Oh my god. Class and style. There we go. We finally bring him down. Oh my lord. He's just so chunky. That up level resistance scaling, man. He's just a lot to beat through there, unfortunately. But he didn't do a ton of damage. So anyway, we turn around. Now we're going to beat on this Templar again. The other EP player is still putting work into him. And he seems to be doing pretty good against him. Another EP player jumps on top. Here we go. Going to have some friendlies jumping into the fight. That's what I'm talking about. Level 18 coming back out. Overloads flying. That is what I love to see. Just not giving up. In it to win it. Absolutely love it. We're just going to put the pressure onto this guy here. He actually gets... this guy's healing power is pretty nuts, I swear. Look at this guy heal himself. Anyway, it takes all of us. We finally managed to bring this crazy strong level 18 down. And he's just so chunky. Oh, my lord. And here we have a couple blues. We're just going to help the EP kind of fight off the blue a little bit here. But most of my attention is on the big fight on the left here. I don't want to get too involved in that little scrum simply because I know that this is exactly what's going to happen. We're going to have a lot of extra players coming and attacking us. We managed to catch this guy just kind of like facing the wrong way. Throw a little bit of attack into him, but he turns around right away, notices us. And we also have the players on our side attacking us here as well. So we're going to have to deal with that. There's the hard cast frags. Oh, baby, don't get hit by that. So we're just going to do a bit of kite game again back here, get behind the tree, go for a bow heavy attack, just a little low on resource there. I want to make sure we try to capitalize on all the heavy attacks we can kind of pop off here. Purge the curse right away. We make sure to block his frag as well to reduce the amount of damage it does as it hits us. Keeping our HP high here is really important, I think, when you're going burst game 1v1. This guy I fought lots of times. He runs a very bursty Sork. So in a one-on-one kind of burst scenario where you're both running burst builds, you want to keep your HP very high. and you just want to be patient with your opponent and hit them with that big combo when you have the opportunity to. But important to keep your HP high. You don't want to give them the opportunity to turn and hit you with that combo. So that is why we're going to make sure to block all the incoming attacks and dodge everything that we essentially can, especially against something like such a squishy Sork here. Unfortunately, you see him get torn apart by a bunch of AD. Oh my gosh, so many AD coming in the side here. And we're right back at it with the Bumblebees. So we do a little bit of a peel back around these rocks here. Yet again, going for that purge, so important. Go for the vigor, make sure we keep that health up. And we're just going to go for the heavy attack, power of the light, heavy attack into poison injection. We do a full combo set on that player with the heavy attacks, just kind of using the tree to kite. And here you see we actually take quite a bit of pressure from the outside there. Make sure to roll a lot as I show myself around the tree. I don't want to give them an opportunity to put a lot of pressure into me without me able to react to it. Here we see a Nightblade jump on us. We go into our Mist form, expecting the gank from the Nightblade. The Mist is excellent, kind of, if you see a Nightblade go in stealth next to you, they're going to turn and attack you. Going into Mist form means you can absorb that attack, turn around, and attack them back while they're not really expecting it. However, we end up taking a weird slip there and just end up kiting out the bottom here. Make sure to use that movement, making sure to use that distance. These guys are going to be kind of hugging this hill. But we want to make sure to kind of keep our own space just from them. The big advantage of pulling out back like that is that if we get ganked from the top, we can just pull further away from the rocks, and we kind of force them to pull themselves out of position as well if they want to chase us and attack us. But anyway, we're going to keep using the space here. We've been using these rocks really well, I think. Lots of good kite game, lots of distance damage. I've been really enjoying it. Really enjoying this style on this build, actually. To be honest, it's been really fun playing it again, and I'm really pumped to play it in this patch. But anyway, guys, that is the end of the footage there. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to hit that like and or subscribe button. If you guys are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Seriously, hit that subscribe button. Finally, guys, we play live on Twitch, so if you want to see this fight live or any ones to come check me out on Twitch. We play live every single day, so you can find me, of course, link in the description. And then we are sponsored by What the Fast. They are a VPN for gamers. If you guys get crap ping to your favorite games like ESO, maybe What the Fast can help you out. And last but not least, if you guys have some community content that you want to send me, send it to KristoferESO@hotmail.com. We feature builds, we feature PvP clips, we also feature other sweet ESO clips. So if you guys want to send them in to me. Of course, links to everything in the description. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and I hope to see you next time.